Hi, this is Lyle Leeds with Matthew Zamutt over there on that side. Today is our 10th episode of our podcast. So you were just getting started still. We're newbies. We're not newbies to podcasting, but we're newbies to developing this podcast. Today we're going to do a recap episode, but pay attention. It's very important to pay attention because you're going to see some little tidbits. We're going to give you some behind the scene things and everything, like a weird little behind the scene things. You always see me wearing this color shirt, but I actually have like 3 or 4 of these shirts. They're different brands. They're different styles. You just don't notice it on the screen. That's a weird thing. So somebody's saying, well, you're wearing the same shirt every time. No, I actually do laundry. Well, my wife does, but you get it. I'm here with Matthew. So Matthew over there, introduce yourself. He's our co-host.
Hi.
He's our co-pilot.
Yes, I'm the co-producer. What do they call it? Co-producer? No, executive producer. There you go. Executive producer of the podcast. And I'm really thankful that now we're on episode 10, and we've had some awesome entrepreneurs and different stories. Some of them have definitely helped me. So I have enjoyed this podcast for a while now.
So Matthew, introduce episode 1.
Yes. So episode 1, we met with Duncan Boyle. He's a financial independent advisor, and he talked about his story from living in a missionary in Africa, growing up there, and how he got into entrepreneurship when he found insurance. And so he does health insurance, I believe. And so his story is really impactful. So what did you get out of that, Lyle? That was a good one.
Yeah, that one of the things he talked about was servant leadership, how you balance service and sales. That's very important to understand. And he also had a little tidbit about an online strategy that you can use using social media to connect with people on a deeper level and how to reach that out. One of the really cool things about this one was the bonuses. He had 2 really cool bonuses. He talked about how real estate investors can utilize life insurance, and he showed how to do that to help actually with real estate investing. But the second one I thought was even cooler. I think we did 3 that one. But anyway, one was specifically on building a business plan. He talked about a very simple pattern, and he and I had this discussion back and forth and gave you some really good tidbits. So if you've never developed a business plan, and we're not talking about the executive summary and all the long ones, we're talking about one that you can put into practice. That was a really cool business. So make sure you go to episode 1 on our Optimize Profitability Podcast, which you can find at dfwtop.com/podcasts. Or if you type in Optimize Profitability, you'll take you to that same page.
Awesome. And episode 2, we had Joseph and Jasmine Mims. We actually love working with those guys. They are the owners of Abundant Culture Incorporation, and it's an investment company that owns different coffee shops and different businesses. So I got a lot out of that. Just hearing their story, getting into the Army, and then realizing, wow, my life is completely different. This is not what I want to do the rest of my life. So I definitely relate to that. Lyle, what did you get out of it?
Well, that episode was kind of interesting because they're a semi-newlywed couple learning to be entrepreneurs at the same time they learn to be a married couple. So that's kind of a fun little tidbit on them. But they also kind of covered some things like what happens if your family doesn't believe in you as an entrepreneur? What if they don't understand what you're doing? They're like, go get a real job, those kind of things. And one of the outstanding things on these is a young couple, they're in their 20s, but they talked about how relaxation works for your business. And they talked about a hustle may not be what you think it is. So it's kind of neat because they talked about some really real stuff. Like, what if you're jealous of your spouse's attention as an entrepreneur? How do you deal with that? And it does make a difference because if you're both entrepreneurs, you spend a lot of time in your business sometimes and you get tied up there, and then your spouse feels neglected sometimes. So you got to make sure there's a balance there that you're connecting, especially if you're both entrepreneurs, because you both may be going different directions. So we talked about debriefing and everything. So that's really cool. Again, make sure you check out episode 2 to check out Joseph and Jasmine Mims. They're really cool people.
Great. And episode 3 was with Patricia Diker, and her story was crazy. I mean, I can't imagine what she was going through as a triage nurse, and just seeing her life experience and what she did with it. It's really cool. What do you think, Lyle?
That was really neat because she did talk about that triage thing. She talked about how sometimes you have to pivot. You're in the middle of doing something, you're going one direction, but all of a sudden you got to go this direction, take care of this one thing that comes back to that one thing. And so those little incremental changes can make a huge impact on your business. And she's actually kicked out a new niche for her business. It's a whole new, she's developed her own brand new niche. And so you'll hear how she did that. So it's really cool. Make sure you check out episode 3 to hear from Patricia.
Awesome. Episode 4 was with Jenna Zabrowski. She's a real estate lease lawyer. She's helped us a couple of times. Her story of just jumping right into entrepreneurship from the corporate world it's really cool and inspiring. What inspiring thing did you find with her podcast?
Great. With her, she talked about how she was laid off in her job and her job just couldn't support her. So she went out on her own and everything. So it was that struggle for her to make those steps. But she talked about how, and she's a major marketer. She markets networker, excuse me. She's a major networker, and she actually talked about her elevator pitch, how she develops her elevator pitch. And we kind of did a little mini training. So if you don't have that elevator pitch, we actually lay out how to do that and everything. And then she talked about the balance and setting clear expectations for your clients and for your own personal life. That's very important.
Awesome. Episode 5 was with Lenny Richardson. And just how he started a marketing agency during COVID is crazy to me. That was really, really interesting. Lyle, what did you get out of the episode?
Well, that's really cool. He's a 20-year-old. Yes, he started a marketing agency during COVID. That's just kind of crazy. So he talked about how he did that. One of the neat things there on this one is he talked about how to get past the gatekeeper when you're doing cold calling. So if you're one of those people that you do direct to B2C, B2B, when you go directly to businesses, if you want to get past that gatekeeper, he's got some really cool tips. The bonus for this one, I was really good with. We were really good because we talked about marketing, and we talked about a 3-step marketing plan using email marketing. Yes, because even as a millennial, he still uses email in his marketing tools. It's kind of neat.
Awesome. Episode 6 was Joseph Smith, and I loved I love that episode. Lyle, what did you get out of it? I have so much to say.
First off, pray for the guy. He's going through a really rough time right now. I won't give you in the details if you know him. He and his family, he's in the hospital right now. As we talk about this, he's struggling. But he talked about how you build your credit. He talked about he went through 2 foreclosures. Could you imagine going through 2 of them at the same time? But he still recouped that and was able to build a multi-million-dollar campaign using business credit without using your personal credit. So not only do we get to hear his story in episode 6, but if you go online and check out episode 6, the bonus training, he actually goes through step by step, tells you how he can do that. And there's links there of how you can access their mastermind for developing business credit, and also a thing called, what's he call it? Infinite banking. So that's episode 6 on our blog posts, our podcast posts. What you call them?
Yes. Episode 7 is with Ray Fleming, his business partner. And I mean, his story was also just as impactful as Joseph's. What did you get out of the episode?
Wow. Well, I've known Ray for a while, Ray and Joseph both. They're great guys. We've worked with them directly on marketing, but we also work with them because they helped us with business credit. So it's kind of a back and forth thing. And it's great when you find partners that you can do that kind of thing with, when you can partner up with people and help people. But I did not know some of his story. I did not know that he dealt with alcoholism and addictions and everything. And so when somebody's dealing with those kind of things, it's really rough for them to get past that and into entrepreneurship. One of the really cool things there is the bonus session on that. He talks about how his faith helped pull him through that process and bring him into entrepreneurship and save his marriage ultimately. And then he also talked about how to deal with building business lines of credit type things. So you got 2 bonuses with this one. That's episode 7 with Ray. It's really awesome.
Awesome. Episode 8 was with Nancy Labs, I believe. And she Lobs. Okay, that's all I was gonna say. Her story was just really interesting as well. I mean, all these stories are interesting to me, but they're all different and unique in their own way. What did you get out of the episode?
And see, that's what I love about hearing people's stories. As entrepreneurs, we sometimes feel like we're alone, we're the only person going through this. And so hearing how different people develop their stories is really cool to me. And Nancy, she talked about how she turned a job into her business. And so she took her job, excelled at what she was doing, and then moved that into a business thing. So she has a different path than most people, but a lot of people, when when they're not sure they can be an entrepreneur, they start with their job and then build from there and everything. So she talked about that a little bit. Then she talked about a couple of things that was interesting to her specifically. She talked about how to create a deal flow. She's a real estate investor, how to do that in any type of market, and how to overcome a business partner's death. In the middle of her processing and developing a business, her business partner passed away, and she had to overcome that. And so again, back to that story, her bonus session, she released a product on helping landlords do better as a landlord.
Awesome. And then lastly, episode 9 was with Suzanne Johns. And man, every time you hear her voice, you just want to smile. She is hilarious. Oh man, what'd you get out of that episode, Lyle? I got a whole lot out of it.
Because she talks fast, and in case you hadn't realized that I talk fast as well. And when Matthew and I talked about it, Matthew's like, well, when I edited that one, it was really easy because we didn't have to go through all the breaths and everything. And so when I slow down, I take bigger breaths and everything, but I try to talk fast because that's who I am. My brain goes fast. Well, Suzanne's like that, and she really talked about really cool stuff. We dug in a little bit on networking. When you're networking individually is different than when you're networking online. And so we dug into what it means to network online, how to really maximize those relationships. And then sometimes you just got to take actions even if you don't have all of the answers. So that's all the episodes. That's episode 9, by the way, with Suzanne Johns. Really great people. Each of these people share a portion of their story, and some of them add some bonus trainings to help you take your business to the next level. See, Optimize Profitability, somebody says, well, it's Optimize Profitability. You should be telling me how to make money. We are. We're giving you actual real-life people's stories, and when you optimize your life and optimize your business, that's how you optimize your profitability. So many people go after the big dollar, but when you go after the big dollar, you lose your life sometimes. And I would say lose your life because you may lose your wife, you may lose your health, you may lose your sanity. Oh my goodness, I can go through story after story. There's a guy that we work with, and I won't give you details and everything, but he does a theme that we work with on programming and everything for websites. And the guy had to disappear for like 6 months because he was just so stressed, so overwhelmed by his business model that he had to separate himself out. He ended up having to move and take action totally different and just almost drop the ball on this and hand it over to other people. And he had a complete business. He was making a ton of money, but it wasn't about the money. It was about overcoming. And another entrepreneur that I am in a mastermind with, same thing happened to him. He was so inundated by all the success that he had not prepared his mind. He had not prepared his life. He lost his family, he lost his job, and literally almost lost his sanity. He literally checked into a facility to help himself gain that balance back again. And so there's story after story, and some of those people aren't going to come on our podcast, to be honest, because that's a hard story for them to share. But I'm sharing it because I'm in that world. Matthew and I, let's just get real for a second. Sometimes we deal with depression. Sometimes we deal with hard times in our life. So how do you overcome those things? When you deal with that as an entrepreneur, you don't want to tell other people, oh, I'm dealing with depression, because then people are like, well, I don't want to do business with him. He's depressed. That's not the reality. The reality is we set high expectations for ourselves. And because those high expectations we set for ourselves, if we don't reach those expectations, we kind of start beating ourselves up. And as an entrepreneur, when you beat yourself up, you're going to find yourself in depression. Matthew, tell us a little bit inside of depression.
Oh, man.
What did we talk about yesterday?
Yeah, we talked about just, when you are going through certain feelings, you just write everything out because it gets it out of your head. And then the next step is you're definitely not alone. You definitely want to reach out to people, your friends, your family that really care about you. Because you're not alone and they've dealt with the same things you've dealt with, even though you don't think so. So that's what I think of depression.
Good deal. Yeah, we talked about that. Your puppy's whining. We talked about that because, to be honest, Matthew deals with that sometimes. I deal with that sometimes. And I kind of described it as this. It feels like you're in a car, the car's in drive, and you're pressing the gas, but you also got your foot on the brake. So lots of noise is happening. You feel like you should be going somewhere, but you just feel stuck. And it's at those moments you got to get things out of your head. You got to separate yourself out. And when you take action to help someone else, when you take action as an entrepreneur towards your business, do those consistent habits that you know you should do, just get them done. That's when success starts to happen and depression starts to disappear. Because depression basically is a lock. It locks you in place. It holds you in a single spot and you can't get out of it. You feel like you're stuck. Again, it's a feeling. Feelings disappear when you take action, when you engage your brain to take action past that. Now, I know there's clinical depression and you don't want to get out of bed. I've been there. I have been there. But when you take action, when you take your brain off of yourself, take your brain onto someone else, think about your business for a second. How is your business impacting someone else? If you can directly figure out that, if you can directly figure out, put your mindset on someone else, not just on the money, but put your mindset on someone else, that's when you'll overcome depression and get to the next level. Matthew and I, we deal with another entrepreneur. We deal with him on a regular basis, and he deals with anxiety. It's so bad that he can't sleep for days at a time. And can you imagine going 4 days at a time, not sleeping, and then trying to do a business? It's really hard to get that out of there. And so a couple of tools, and Matthew mentioned one, is do what I call a brain dump. Write it down. I talked to a lady just last week, and she's got all this stuff going on in her health. She's like, I just feel overwhelmed. You don't understand. I'm like, I do understand. I understand you got to get it out of your head, because in your head, it's not real. Well, it is real, but that's the problem. It's bouncing around in your head, and you don't see it because it just compounds. You got to release that. You got to let that go. Write it on a piece of paper. Everything. Just think, I'm frustrated about this. This is depressing me. This is bothering me. And just write down everything that's in your head. When you get it out of your head, you see it on a piece of paper, then you begin to analyze it differently. And I'll just be honest. If you're struggling with depression, you're struggling with anxiety, you just feel overwhelmed in your business, contact us. Go to our DFW Top page. We're not going to charge you to have a conversation. And if enough people contact us, maybe we'll set up a little Facebook group where we can connect a little bit differently and everything. But you're not alone. The whole purpose of our Optimize Profitability Podcast is to help you optimize your life first, then optimize your business, because those two things happen. That's when you optimize your profitability. So I know I kind of got off track, but this is kind of where, I'll just be honest, I'm a Christian. This is where God's leading me right now to talk to people about. And if we can help you, reach out. If you know somebody who would be really cool for this story, maybe it doesn't have anything to do with depression or anxiety, but somebody who would be really good to share their life, their entrepreneur journey, let us know. Because we have some really cool stuff coming up. We got a married couple, been married for tons of years, and they're going to come in and talk about what it means to be an entrepreneur. We've got a couple that are fairly newlyweds that are just writing a book, and they both came through the foster care system, and they're going to be sharing their story. And so we have some really cool stories. I can't even tell you the rest of them, but I hope you stay tuned. Hope you pay attention. Leave some comments. Rate this podcast on whatever platform you are on. Find us on Facebook. Make sure you connect with us individually. Connect with our DFW Top business page. Connect with our Optimize Profitability page. Leave comments. Ask questions. Because ultimately, if you ask questions, then we're going to be able to gear these towards helping you and your business better. So I'm Lyle. That over there guy, that is Matthew. I think we lost you, Matthew. I think
I think you did.
There you are. You must have been on mute. All right, Matthew, any final words, buddy?
No, just please watch this podcast, share it to all your friends and family. I know this is a really impactful podcast, and it's only going to get better from here.
Yes, sir. You guys have a great day, and make sure you optimize your life, optimize your business, and then optimize your profitability. I'm Lyle. Talk to you later. Bye.